the love, the crazy love that he has for each and every one of us. It's been the most difficult journey I've ever been on in my life. Physically, mentally, spiritually. People say, would you ever do this again? And I say, no, of course I'm not going to ever do this again. It's a one and done deal. This is what we did, and we love doing it. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, and we learned more about our faith lives than you could possibly imagine. When you're speaking out in public, especially about your faith, there's going to be a lot of risks of unpopularity. And young people today cannot be afraid to be unpopular. If we are afraid to be unpopular, then we've lost it all. We all fall into it. I mean, you know, I struggle with it just as much as he does, just as much as you do, just as much as everyone does. But it's that constant battle, again, of understanding that, you know, we are going to be the ones that are going to be hanging on that cross with our Lord if we're going to dive into this faith. It's not going to always be, you know, the fun and games. It's not always going to be the yes, Lord, you know, like the nah, 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 you know, like we're always singing. It's not going to be all the time, you know, like that. It's going to be a grind. It's going to be a daily struggle that we got to enter into.
Sometimes the task at hand can seem overwhelming.
But even doing a small part towards solving a problem is better than doing nothing.
We may not have the solution to end world hunger or homelessness, but we can help some people by volunteering at a local soup kitchen or by building homes with Habitat for Humanity.
But like everything we do in our lives, there's always an element of risk.
Next, we asked the teens on the street, what are the risks involved with speaking out?
And if the risks have ever deterred them.
What are the risks involved in speaking out?
Well, on certain things, the risks on speaking out is someone obviously disagreeing with you and kind of just telling you what's up, like telling you their opinion and being just as strong of a supporter on the other side and having to beat them.
Of course, a lot of people, even your own friends, aren't going to agree with the same thing you do. Sometimes, you know, some friends may even not even defriend you in that way. Even your own family, sometimes they don't agree with me, so that's a really big risk.
You could be very shy and embarrass yourself.
Humiliation.
Just people not liking you or having arguments that you might not be able to, you know, answer correctly to them.
Some people might not like your opinion and they might argue back, and sometimes it could get a little out of hand.
There's a chance that they can get violent.
Well, you could get in trouble.
Other people might not agree with you and start an argument over it.
People looking at you differently or getting upset at you.
That person getting upset at you and ruining a friendship.
The way people would react back to you.
Do the risks of speaking out deter you?
No, they don't deter me. They actually make me want to do it more.
I pretty much will take any risk to say what I feel. The risks don't really deter me. Like, I have, you know, people who are always encouraging me to stand up for what I believe in. So, I mean, that makes it a little easier.
I guess everyone around me believes in what I believe, so I don't really have to worry about that.
Nothing's going to hold me back.
Because if there's something to stand out for, I will stand out for it.
It's all about the heart, you know, and will, and courage to stand up and actually say something, because a lot of stuff can impact if you know how to put the words together.
So what about you guys? What are some of the risks you've encountered when trying to stand up for an issue?
I would definitely have to say being made fun of or being like looked down upon by your friends, because sometimes they're like, oh, that's so not cool, you know. But I don't think the risks deter me like a lot of the teens said.
A problem I face is that a friend of mine and I will disagree, and that'll put a strain on our relationship. And once the problem's solved or if the debate's over, we'll get over it. But there's always that risk of someone close to you having the opposite view on it.
There's always that risk too that like other people are like, oh, did you hear like he supports this or whatever. But I really don't even see this as like a deter. Like if they're like that, I really don't want to be friends with people who judge like that. And I'd rather like meet the challenge head on and try to prove my issue and say, no, this is what we should be standing up for.
In reality, not everyone is going to agree with you, and so you can take them as a challenge and you can try to change them, but you don't let them stand in your way.
Never gonna change everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you guys, but I think like the risks are always there. They're always in the back of your mind, like you're always thinking about them, like because you don't want to lose that group of friends or you don't want to lose that friend. So it's there, but like you try and not let it deter you from standing up.
Kenny, but would you really want to be friends with someone who would drop a friendship just because they don't agree with an issue that you support? Like, is that really a good friendship?
Yeah, you're pretty much right on that. Like, it's really something you gotta like take into hard consideration, like, and really think about if they're really a true friend.
Unfortunately, I am sometimes deterred by the risks of speaking out. Like maybe it's because I'm not the most confident person, but sometimes like when I'm speaking out on issues I believe in, I feel like, you know, who am I to try and, you know, speak out on this issue? Like I'm not perfect, I'm not like a great advocate or whatever. So sometimes I find myself kind of slinking into the background, and it's not necessarily a good thing, but it's something that I do want to fix. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, I don't think I should be ashamed. I just think I need to work a little harder.
I see what you're saying. And I can definitely understand that being a social pariah is definitely a deterrent from wanting to stand up for what you believe in. But at the same time, I think the thing that holds me back especially is fear of not necessarily failure, but the fact that someone could change my opinion. I'm more afraid of the other guy's face, basically. I don't want them to say their opinion and then convince me that maybe I was wrong or that maybe what I'm thinking is not the way it really should be. When
you face a problem or when you want to talk about something, there's always going to be that question of what if, could this happen? And it reminds me of two things that Emerson and Thoreau, I think, wrote it, that don't be afraid to change your mind. You'll be among great thinkers. And also, if you're really passionate about what you're speaking on, if you're really putting your heart and soul into it, like the Scenes on the Street said, I think we'll be able to overcome that barrier, overcome that hurdle, and truly deliver on what we're trying to teach.
I totally agree. If you feel really passionate about something, then you shouldn't be afraid of what people think or people changing you.
Some people might hesitate to stand up for their beliefs for fear of being ridiculed.
It's not always easy to go against the crowd and speak our minds.
There will be people who don't understand why we feel drawn to action on specific issues.
Those who disagree with us might make fun of us, hurt us with their words or actions, or even threaten us.
But just as Christ endured the taunts from the crowd, so can we.
Let's go back to our spotlight guests, John and Jesse, as they talk about being God's hands and feet during their remarkable journey from coast to coast.
And how we shouldn't be afraid to speak out, especially when proclaiming the gospel message.
Gosh, I mean, even with this walk, we're speaking out, not necessarily with our words. I mean, we are. But John and I are speaking out with the way we're acting. We're basically walking with the church here, and we're basically walking with everybody else who wants to join us on the spiritual journey. Too many times people aren't really living out the gospel. I think we can also shorthand ourselves and limit ourselves to speaking out just with our words, because that's what John and I are trying to do. We're trying to be God's hands and feet. It's been difficult, it's been challenging. I mean, it's hard. People are gonna knock us down. They have. People are gonna yell at us. People are gonna say, well, what you're doing is completely ridiculous. What you're doing is totally worthless and pointless. I mean, but we just have to persevere.
My faith tells me that I have to speak out, and our Catholic faith demands of us to actually enter into this relationship on a daily level and go through every single day of our lives with this relationship with our Lord. Speaking out, as Jesse said, with our actions, speaking out with our words. John Paul II, one of our heroes, this was his challenge to young people, and even to all people, was do not be afraid to proclaim the gospel. Do not be afraid to take that gospel to the people on the streets. To people, that are homeless, to people that are abandoned. Don't be afraid to take the gospel to people that are very wealthy, the businessmen or the businesswomen that are out there. Don't be afraid to take the gospel to the women that maybe are considering abortion, or the people that are considering, whatever it is, in jail or suicide, or you could put anything to it. But our faith asks us to now take this gospel and to live it, and to bring it with everything that we have, as I said before, including our actions and including our words.
Next, we asked the teens on the street what their faith says about speaking out.
And if their faith has ever motivated them to take a stand.
So what does your faith say about speaking out?
My faith say about me speaking out is sometimes it's right to do the right thing. Sometimes, even though you know it might be hard for you to get involved into the situation, you know you're doing the right thing, helping another person out.
I think that God wants you to express how you feel and what your convictions are.
If you believe in yourself, you can do well.
Well, I'm not ashamed of what I believe in, so I'll say whatever I want to say.
My faith's a faith that believes in speaking out and helping each other, so I guess it tells you to speak out and stuff.
It says that I should. As simple as that. Everyone deserves a voice, especially those that can't speak for themselves, so it's our duty to do such things.
With God, all things are possible, so even when you think that speaking up might not do anything, the Lord works in you in many ways, so He'll bring you out through it.
Has your faith been a motivator for you when taking a stand and voicing your opinion? Explain.
Yeah, because I usually learn my faith from mostly my grandma, so she always taught me to just stand up for what I believe.
I'm very religious, and I have been going to church, and I know what the Bible speaks about, so helping others, it's really important, because you're not only doing it for yourself, you're also doing it for others.